What do you know about lactic acid? Or maybe better yet, what do you think you know about lactic acid? If your answer to that question is something along the lines of the reason that you're sore after a hard workout has to do with lactic acid, well then, settle in because you are in fact wrong. And I'm going to try to explain it a little bit because I've thought, or at least hoped, that the misperception that lactic acid causes muscle soreness had sort of worked itself out of the running community. Sadly, it hasn't. And look, I totally understand why the misperception, the misunderstanding takes place. So without trying to get too deep into the exercise physiology weeds, here's the basic thing as it relates to your running and lactic acid. So our body primarily produces energy that we need for running or for any type of activity one of two ways, either aerobically or anaerobically. Aerobic glycolysis or aerobic energy production means that we're using oxygen to create the energy, right? That's where you get your mitochondria involved and yada, 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 ATP, Krebs cycle. Ultimately, that's where we want, as endurance athletes, that's where we want the majority of our energy production to take place. And quite frankly, that is where the majority of our energy production takes place. But when we start to work above the ability of our body to produce energy aerobically, we get into anaerobic glycolysis. This is for your harder efforts, your final sprints, anything that's like closer to a max effort, we're going to be more likely to be in the anaerobic glycolysis energy production. It's a bit less efficient than aerobic glycolysis, but it happens a lot more rapidly. So we're able to produce those higher spikes, those harder efforts, the sprints, things like that more anaerobically. And one of the byproducts of anaerobic glycolysis is lactic acid. Now, what lactic acid does in the muscles is pretty simple. It causes muscles to fail. Basically, for lack of a better way of saying it, lactic acid keeps our muscles from just running themselves into the ground, from running ourselves into the ground. As lactic acid builds up, our muscles are less able to contract forcefully. Basically, we're able to maintain that higher level of effort for less and less amount of time, and the relative intensity of the effort also comes down, and that brings us back into aerobic glycolysis, brings our effort level down. It's also where you might fade at the end of a repeat. That's because the lactic acid is building up. You feel that burn at the end of a good quarter mile repeat? That's the lactic acid. So where does the confusion come from? Well, there's a correlation between the two, but remember kids, correlation does not equal causation. When you have a good hard workout, you get into that anaerobic glycolysis phase, which means that your body is producing lactic acid. When you have a good hard workout, you're damaging your muscle tissues, and part of that repair process results in muscle soreness after the fact. So the hard workout causes an increase in lactic acid production, also causes an increase in muscle soreness after the fact. But it's not the lactic acid that causes the muscle soreness. No. It's the hard workout. Now that I've got that out of my system and stepped off of my soapbox a little bit, if you have any questions about lactic acid, if you're still not convinced, let me know. Leave me a question down in the comments, slide into my DMs on social media, shoot me an email, whatever works best for you. I'm happy to talk about it some more. I may get a little bit ranty. Hope you'll forgive me for that. But lactic acid doesn't cause muscle soreness, and if you need more explanation on that, let me know. If you have other questions on running-related topics, running-related physiology, happy to take those. Maybe make a video about it in the future. I don't know. We'll see. And the next time you hear somebody talking about lactic acid causing muscle soreness, feel free to correct them or just send them my way. I'll rant and rave and hopefully get through to them that, in fact, lactic acid does not cause muscle soreness. Thanks for watching.